Hello, and welcome to the channel. Today, we're taking a trip around the globe to explore the potential birth of nations. Forget your atlas for a second, because the lines on the map as we know them could be redrawn within this decade. From simmering independence movements to scheduled referendums, the geopolitical landscape is anything but static. Predicting the birth of a nation is messy and complicated, often coming down to factors beyond anyone's control. But we can dive into the stories behind these potential new nations, understand the historical forces at play, and make some educated guesses about the future. So buckle up, grab your passport, it might need updating soon, and let's embark on a journey to explore 6 potential new countries that could emerge before 2030. Our first stop takes us to the island of New Guinea, a land of stunning biodiversity and complex geopolitics. New Guinea itself is divided in two. The eastern half, that's Papua New Guinea, an independent nation, but the western half, that's West Papua, embroiled in a struggle for self-determination for over half a century. West Papua wasn't always part of Indonesia. It was a Dutch colony, and as the Dutch granted Indonesia independence, they conveniently overlooked West Papua. Indonesia saw an opportunity and claimed West Papua as their own. West Papuan activist. The people of West Papua weren't thrilled about being absorbed into another country. They wanted their own independence, and so began a decades-long struggle marked by protest, violence, and frustration. The Indonesian government has tried to quell the independence movement, sometimes with a heavy hand, but the desire for self-determination is a powerful thing. The path to independence is rarely a straight line. Despite the challenges, the people of West Papua are resilient. They continue to fight for their right to self-determination. Maybe, just maybe, the 2020s will be the decade that West Papua finally gets its moment in the sun as an independent nation. The map of the world is never truly finished. Now let's shift our focus to Biafra, nestled in the southeastern corner of Nigeria. This isn't just some recent squabble over land or resources. Back in the 1960s, Biafra declared independence, sparking the Nigerian Civil War, which claimed millions of lives. The war ended with Biafra's reintegration into Nigeria, but the desire for self-determination never truly went away. Biafran historian. In recent years, those embers have been reignited. A new generation has taken up the mantle of Biafran independence. Fueled by continued marginalization and injustice within Nigeria, they argue that they're a distinct cultural and ethnic group, deserving of their own nation. The Nigerian government isn't thrilled about this secession talk and has cracked down on pro-Biafra groups. Movements like this are notoriously difficult to suppress, so will Biafra actually gain independence before 2030? It's a long shot, but when it comes to matters of the heart, and the desire for self-governance is nothing if not a matter of the heart, never say never. The struggle for independence is a story that continues to unfold. The desire for self-determination is a powerful force. It's a force that has toppled empires and redrawn maps. From the often turbulent waters of the South Pacific emerges a beacon of hope for aspiring nations, Bougainville. This autonomous region within Papua New Guinea is on a clear, internationally recognized path to full independence by 2027. Bougainville's journey to this point has been anything but smooth sailing. For almost a decade, from 1988 to 1998, Bougainville was ravaged by a bloody civil war. Bougainville resident, the Bougainville Civil War was a tragedy, but from the ashes of conflict emerged a glimmer of hope. The Bougainville Peace Agreement, signed in 2001, paved the way for a new era of peace and self-governance. In 2019, a long-awaited referendum on independence took place. The result, an overwhelming landslide victory for independence. Over 98% of Bougainvilleans voted to break free from Papua New Guinea. Bougainville's future is looking decidedly more independent. The journey ahead won't be without its challenges. Building a nation from scratch is no mean feat. Chapter 4, New Caledonia, a slow march toward freedom. Let's hop over to a little slice of France, nestled in the South Pacific, New Caledonia. New Caledonia has been under French rule for over 150 years. While it enjoys a certain je ne sais quoi as a French overseas territory, the question of independence has been simmering for decades. The French government has been reluctant to let go of this Pacific gem. New Caledonia is rich in nickel, a key ingredient in stainless steel and electric car batteries. But the people of New Caledonia have been increasingly vocal about their desire for self-determination. They argue that after over a century of French rule, they deserve the right to chart their own course. The French government has granted New Caledonia a degree of autonomy and agreed to hold 3 independence referendums. The first 2 referendums, held in 2018 and 2020, yielded narrow victories for the Remain camp, but the independence movement is gearing up for the 3rd and final referendum, scheduled for sometime before the end of 2023. Will New Caledonia finally declare independence? It's a nail-biter. The South Pacific could be getting a brand new shade of independent blue very soon. The desire for self-determination is a powerful force. It's a force that has toppled empires and redrawn maps. The struggle for independence is a story that continues to unfold. Chapter 5, Catalonia, a passionate pursuit of sovereignty. Hold on to your paella, because we're heading to a region where the pursuit of independence is as fiery as a plate of patatas bravas, Catalonia. This autonomous community in northeastern Spain has a long and complicated history. Catalonian activist. Catalonia has its own distinct language, culture, and identity. We've got our own version of everything, from our own language to our own dance moves. We even have our own human towers, which is both impressive and slightly terrifying, much like our independence movement. Catalonia's desire for independence isn't some recent fad. It's been simmering for centuries, occasionally bubbling over into full-blown revolts. In 2017, the Catalan government held an independence referendum despite the Spanish government declaring it illegal. The referendum was chaotic, but the results were clear, a resounding yes to independence. The Spanish government refused to recognize the results, and things got complicated. Catalonian activists. Since then, there's been a political stalemate. The Catalan independence movement is still going strong, with massive protests and calls for dialogue. Chapter 6. Southern Cameroons, a quest for autonomy and recognition. Our final stop takes us to a region grappling with the legacy of colonialism and a yearning for self-determination. Southern Cameroons. Cameroonian scholar, Southern Cameroons wasn't always part of Cameroon. It was a British territory, while the rest of Cameroon was under French rule. When the time came for independence, Southern Cameroons chose to join Cameroon, hoping to forge a new nation based on diversity and mutual respect. But things didn't go according to plan. The Union, intended to be a federation, gradually morphed into something more akin to assimilation, with the Francophone majority asserting greater control. This sparked resentment in southern Cameroons, where people felt their culture, language, and autonomy were being eroded. Cameroonian scholar, fast forward to 2016, and tensions reached a boiling point. Protests erupted, fueled by grievances over marginalization and the perceived imposition of French language and culture. The government responded with a crackdown, and the situation spiraled into violence. In the midst of this turmoil, a faction of the independence movement declared the independence of Ambazonia. The international community has been reluctant to recognize Ambazonia, and the conflict has dragged on, resulting in a humanitarian crisis. Will Southern Cameroons achieve its goal of independence, or at the very least genuine autonomy? It's a question with no easy answers. Chapter 7, The Future of Nations, A World in Flux. So there you have it, 6 potential nations, each with its own unique story, each grappling with the complexities of self-determination in the 21st century. Whether these potential nations will actually come to fruition within this decade is anyone's guess. The path to nationhood is rarely a straight line. It's more like a game of geopolitical twister, played on a constantly shifting board. The desire for self-determination, for autonomy, for the freedom to chart one's own course is a powerful force. It's a force that has toppled empires, redrawn maps, and continues to shape the world we live in.